Welcome, everyone. As a continuation of the interviews with the co-founders and CEO and CTO of Preferabli, today I have the pleasure of introducing Andrew. Andrew is the co-founder and CTO of Preferabli. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Andrew, we just had a great interview with Pam, but it may be worthwhile if our listeners have clicked on this link first, if you could explain to our audience what exactly Preferabli is.
Sure. So Preferabli is a preference intelligence engine that allows merchants to connect better with their consumers or understand the preferences from an individual taste preference to really be able to understand what would be most appealing and also not appealing to any particular customer. But the idea here was to really understand what drives an individual and their preferences through personal taste.
And actually, one of the things that I didn't get a chance to mention to Pam, but I may as well ask you, is I understand that from the consumer point of view, you've also launched a mobile app as well. And I believe that mobile app is called Preferabli as well. Yeah,
it is. It is. And it's both iOS and Android in the app stores. Used to be called Wine Ring because we were focused exclusively on wine at that point. But with our recent expansion into spirits and beers, we've renamed the product in the store Preferabli as well.
And this is for any consumer out there, me included, because I've already downloaded it. Anyone can download this mobile app and start to use it to select their preferences of wine, beer, and spirits, I believe. Yeah, exactly.
And you don't need to be an expert. All you need to be able to know is whether you like something or not. Or as I like to say, if you love it, you want to remember it forever. Or if it's just so-so, I drink it if you paid for it, but I wouldn't go and buy it for myself.
Sure.
So that's the only thing you really need to know. The software does the rest. It's able to model what the individual's preferences are and then help them connect with products that they would find with our merchant partners.
The fascinating technology. Andrew, who are you targeting today? Who's your prospect today?
So right now, a lot of our business activity comes in the context of retail. One, because they typically have data that they already have available that they don't know what to do with, and we're able to process and analyze that for them so that they can connect better with their customers. Also, COVID had the unfortunate side effect of really sidelining a lot of on-premise activity, restaurants, hotels. But our functionality can serve basically anybody in the supply chain, whether it's producers, importer, distributors, restaurants, retail. We have modules that can serve all of them. Like I said, at the current moment, there's a lot in the retail space, those focused on alcoholic beverages. But our technology works with any consumable product that has smell, taste, touch involved with it. Not that it can't be used in the purely digital realm of movies, books, and music. It's just not our key focus. We're really focused on the difficult products where you have to smell it, taste it, touch it. You can't perceive it fully digitally.
Which is where you put so much time and effort into the patents that you've actually put out there.
Yes.
Can you maybe just in a last minute or two kind of talk about how the patents have affected the kind of direction that you've taken Preferabli into?
Sure. From the beginning, and full disclosure, in my prior life, I was a lawyer, practiced at a major firm in the country. And so from the very beginning, when we looked at IP, there's certain pieces that you look to protect through trade secret, and there are certain things that you try to create as much of an intellectual property portfolio as you can. And the piece that we felt important to rely on was this notion of complex sensory products. That's really where the software has and our technology has the most value to provide. So whether it's beer, wine, and spirits, whether it's cheese, perfume, coffee, tea, chocolate. Of course, we get asked all the time about cannabis. Yes, it does work for cannabis. It's the methodologies that we've created. It's the thought process, but it's really about how to take individualized appeal individualized taste preferences. So it's not looking across billions of data points to try and find some sort of, rationalized, normalized path between all of these data points. For any individual, you may only have a handful of data points. They like this, they don't like that, they like this, they don't like that. Now what? And so by being able to come up with a really unique set of algorithms and methodology for how to find patterns in those small data sets and use those with the power of expert assisted, expert knowledge. So we feed in through our curation platform, we curate products on over 500 attributes and traits, not on are they good or bad, but just what drives the appeal in those products, and being able to understand that at a granular level in a way so that the consumer and the merchant don't need to do it on their own, but as a technical solution, we're able to deliver on the promise, which is to connect people with products that they're going to like because we understand those products at the core.
So Andrew, let me ask this is quite interesting. You just mentioned something there. So you actually look through and find the patterns, right? So let's say that I'm in the retail supply chain, but currently I've not engaged. Preferably, this is the first time I'm hearing about them, so to speak. Is it possible that one could engage Preferabli to come out and do that analysis to help train the software, so that way I can then develop campaigns and develop a platform that can target the individual with my specific offerings, be whatever they be, whether they be cannabis, whatever cannabis is such a new industry, if we were to, and I don't see a lot of probably high tech people in cannabis, but let's just take as an example. So if you were to work with, and in Canada, we've legalized the selling of cannabis. So let's just say we've got a large organization that wants to target the personal preferences of cannabis. Would you work with such an organization to say, look, we will come in, we will help you create the preferences, market the preferences, and therefore use this technology then upsell? Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's really interesting when you look at the data from that's available and how to make sense out of it.
Right.
And there's a lot of data on the business side, on the they know what they sell, for example, or they know what they purchase. I know what's in my inventory and I know what my customers purchased. But when you start looking at it from the perspective of derived preferences, when you start modeling it from a preference base, for example, what are the top preference styles that customers are demonstrating in an inventory, and where those don't line up with where the inventory purchasing behavior is going. So one example, one merchant had a very high amount of Sauvignon Blanc preferences within their customers as a grape. But at a granular level, the number two production area from the preferences, the way the wines taste, are from New Zealand, Marlborough.
Right.
And but when you looked at their inventory, their number one region for Sauvignon Blanc was France, which was fine because they have a tremendous amount of preferences from there. But then they had a lot of California Sauvignon Blanc. And you're like, well, why aren't you carrying as much New Zealand if that's really where your preferences are showing from your customers?
Right.
So being able to not only model it and say, okay, we can figure out how to model the preferences, but then take that information and look at it in a comparative way, in a granular way that has, at an aggregated basis, a lot of value, not just in individually, how do I connect with a particular customer, but how do I figure out how to optimize my supply chain so that I'm buying the right stuff.
So just to confirm, this whole modeling of the preferences, do you actually do that as part of your engagement, or do you offer that as an additional value add to an organization that you may not have dealt with before?
Both. In some cases it's part of, and in some cases we've had merchants that have asked us, like especially associations that, from a regional basis, that want to get a sense of their customer base better. How do their products compare to other products, not on a good or bad,
right,
but people who like wines from X also tend to like wines from Y.
There are so many things that having now been exposed to the fact that this exists out there, that this preferenceable engine exists, that you can start to tailorize and customize your selections. It's fantastic. Congratulations to you
Thank
and
you.
Pam for such a wonderful technology platform. On behalf of the CTO Magazine, Andrew, I'd like to thank you for your time today. I certainly hope that we'll get a chance to come back and talk about how this is grown, how it's expanded into the other realms, and how that's been a boom for your business. So, Andrew, thanks indeed for sharing the demonstration of the personalized preference and the platform, including the web app, which I also have downloaded on my app. So I definitely going to be taking my screenshots of the wine labels, things like that. So, Andrew, thanks indeed for your time.
Thank you.